At LHTC Broadband, we're proud to provide the communication services you need to get the most from today's technology. We're your local choice for TV, phone, and internet. We offer high-quality cable TV service with HD, multi-room DVR, on-demand, and watch TV everywhere. Plus unlimited calling, and our internet is faster than ever with speeds up to 1 gigabyte. With no contracts and local customer service, switching has never been easier. Call today, 724-593-2411, or visit lhtcbroadband.com.
You're listening to Laurel Highlands Happenings on 97.3 Light FM and 1480 WCNS, sponsored by Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine at Seton Hill and Mountain Pines Campground, creating family fun and fond memories. Good morning, I'm Louise and I'm your host of Laurel Highlands Happenings. I'm here the first Saturday of every month to share with you all the latest happenings in the Laurel Highlands. So, how's everyone's summer been so far? June's weather has been a little challenging with the rain, but I really hope it hasn't dampened your summer fun. There are many indoor attractions, shops, craft breweries, wineries, and more to visit and enjoy. So for the July show, I wanted to focus on history. So we are focusing on a historic site from each one of our Laurel Highlands counties. We begin the show with Compass Inn Museum, Westmoreland County, followed by Somerset Historical Center in Somerset County, and finishing with Fort Necessity National Battlefield in Fayette County. So let's begin with Teresa Gay Rohall, Executive Director of Compass Inn Museum. Good morning, Teresa. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Louise, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, it's always good to see you. Now, for those that haven't had the opportunity to visit this coaching inn, please give us a quick overview of your historic site.
Well, Compass Inn Museum is owned and operated by the Ligonier Valley Historical Society. The inn was originally built in 1799 as a drover's inn, which was basically men moving cattle around the area. And then in 1814, the Armour family bought the inn and turned it into a stagecoach stop and ran that stop until 1862 when the railroad came through and put the stagecoach business out of business. And so we've been talking about stagecoaching since 1972 at Compass Inn Museum.
It is a really lovely coaching inn. I love all the tours you do. You have so many different events going on throughout the year. Tell the listeners about what's happening at Compass this summer.
Well, we have a lot of excitement, and since it's July, we'll talk about our July Living History Weekend, which will happen July 20th and 21st, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, the hours are 11 to 4, and Sunday, they are 1 to 5. We will be hosting Carpenter's Battery. It's a reenactment group that reenacts actually a Confederate artillery group that are based out of Ligonier. They will be encamped on the property. We will also have the Mason-Dixon Brass Band, a Civil War era band. Mary Todd Lincoln will make an appearance on Sunday, and we also will have an exhibit on Major William Armour. He's the grandson of Rachel and Robert Armour, who were the innkeepers from 1814 to 1862. He was actually born in Loughlintown, where the inn still stands, and he was a major in the Civil War and an aide to General Sherman. He was later became the assistant librarian for the State Library in Harrisburg, and he was actually the Harrisburg Public Library librarian, and he authored a book, The Lives of Governors of Pennsylvania, with the incidental history of the state from 1609 to 1872. He was wounded in the Civil War, but he unfortunately survived those wounds.
Gosh, you have a lot going on that weekend.
It'll be jam-packed, so come visit us because there'll also be regular tours of the inn, the cookhouse, and the blacksmith shop.
Wow. So what's the admission cost for an event like this? Is it the same as usual or more?
It's the same as usual. Okay. So you get more bang for your buck. It's $10 for adults, and adults that are 62 and older, it's $9. Children 6 to 17 is $6, and 5 and under are free, as well as active military.
So this is nice. We're all living history. So folks can come in, they can tour the coaching inn, and then go out and interact and engage with the reenactors and just learn about what life was like in the Civil War.
Exactly. It'll be so much fun. I think it will be great to interact with Mary Todd Lincoln. So we'll have the Union represented, and we'll have the Confederacy represented.
Excellent. Well balanced, Teresa.
Yes.
Okay, so I also hear that you've got some exciting news that you've just learned today. This is hot off the press, right?
Yes, this is hot off the press, so I might stumble over some of these words.
Okay, so basically you were telling me earlier that you are going to be having a geophysical survey fieldwork done at the inn, right?
Correct. And what geophysical survey fieldwork really entails is using ground-penetrating radar. It's something that's been declassified from the military, and lots of historic sites are beginning to use it now to see what lies below the surface, what hidden secrets there are on our historic sites. So we are the first one, I think, in the Westmoreland County to be using this new technology to look for old things. And that is actually, we're going to allow the public to come and watch the Markowski engineering crew come and use this new technology. And that date will be July 17th and 18th. You'll be able to come by and maybe even take a tour while you're there, but to watch this technology in progress. Once they use the ground-penetrating radar and they get some pings as to where they might think, later on in August, we'll be doing what is called ground truthing, looking at the geophysical results, and they'll actually be making some test pits to dig into the ground, and then maybe in another year, we will be able to find funding to actually open them up as true archaeological dig sites.
This is really exciting. So this is really like super advanced metal detecting, right?
I think it's even more than metal detecting. It's super advanced. It's cutting-edge technology in the field of history research.
This is very, very cool. So people can come on. Can you give us the dates again?
Yes, so on July 17th and 18th, we'll be using the ground-penetrating radar. And then in August 13th through 17th, 20th through 24th, and 27th through 31, we'll actually be digging some test pits in the areas that the ground-penetrating radar indicated there might be some type of anomaly there that we should investigate further.
Okay. And what are the times? Is that just normal opening times?
Just normal opening times. We're inviting the public to come and see what the researchers are up to.
And what times are that again?
11 to 4, Tuesday through Saturday, and then Sunday, if we're having a Sunday, I think, 1 to 5.
Oh, I'm going to keep fingers crossed that you find lots of really fun treasures.
I hope so,
too. Really highlights what was really going on in Lachlan Town, like hundreds of years ago. That's very, very exciting.
Almost 200 years ago now.
Gosh. Oh. Okay, so moving on, we also want to talk about another living history program you've got coming up, which will be in August, which I'm actually involved with. Tell us about this militia, right? It's your 18th century Life on the Frontier Living History program.
Exactly. And we have, as Louise just mentioned, Proctor's Militia, and she plays the captain's wife, she portrays, I guess is a better word, the captain's wife, and talks about what it was like to visit or move from her home state or her home country of England to the wilderness of Pennsylvania, along with all of the militiamen, and that's 17th and 18th of August. So that would be a really exciting time to come, because the 17th is one of the days that they'll be doing some of the work with the Markowski group. So you can really have a wonderful day with the Proctors and learn about what they were doing back then, and maybe we could even find some evidence of some of their activities at that point.
So you can do a tour, you can check out what's happening with the geophysical survey. And you can learn about 18th century frontier life too, all in one go. That is a real bang for your buck, isn't it?
It really is. It's just a wonderful way. And that's midsummer there, and what better way to spend it? Learning about the past.
Well, we're running out of time. I can't believe it's flown by so quickly, the time. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up here?
No, other than I would really like to see some of your listeners stop by and tell us, one, they heard about it on Louise's show, and come see us this summer. Okay, and if anyone who's listening wants to learn more, what is your website and Facebook address and all that? Our website is compassin.org, and our Facebook is Compass Inn Museum and Ligonier Valley Historical Society, and our phone number is 724-238-4983. Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Teresa. Thanks, Louise, for having me. As I said in the beginning, it's always a pleasure. Thank you. If you've just joined us, you're listening to Laurel Highlands Happenings. We thank our sponsors, Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine at Seton Hill and Mountain Pines Campground, creating family fun and fond memories. Our next historic site to visit is in Somerset County, and it is Somerset Historical Center. So let's say hello to Mark Ware, the Executive Director of the Center. Good morning, Mark.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's great to be here.
So, before we get started, can you just tell the listeners where you're located and what the Somerset Historical Center actually consists of?
Sure. We're 4 miles north of Somerset on Route 985, and the Somerset Historical Center is a museum of rural life. And we talk about Somerset County from Monongahela Native Americans on up through to the present time, covering all aspects of rural life in this region.
Okay, you have a really nice exhibit that follows all the way through from what you were just saying. I really enjoy it. It's definitely worth a visit.
Right. It's called Patterns on the Land, and it's a very professionally done exhibit in the visitor center. Plus, we have outdoor exhibits, too, as well as a farmstead, covered bridge, maple sugar camp, and cider press.
You do have a lot there. People don't realize. How many dwellings do you have, the cabins?
There must be about 4 out there
with
the cider press and everything. Some pretty amazing things that the cider press is about 30 feet long and about 30 inches square. It's very unique.
It is. It's a very nice site. So if you haven't been out there, I totally recommend visiting. But you have some events coming up that I know you wanted to talk about. First Friday food trucks. Now, tell us about that, because that's a new thing you're doing.
It's a new thing to bring the community out to the Historical Center for some fun. And you can come out, buy your dinner at a food truck, and we have some musical entertainment, and we're offering tractor-drawn hay rides.
Oh, cool. Is there any cost involved with this?
Just $2 to park, and then you can buy your dinner at one of the food trucks. But the music and the wagon rides are free. It's just an evening out and very pleasant evening to spend with your family.
So this is the first Friday of every month?
First Friday in July and August yet.
Okay, so you had one last night?
Yes.
And so you've got August. Were you planning to go into the fall, or is it all depending on weather?
We only have them scheduled for July and August because after September we have our Mountain Craft Day Festival.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so that sounds really fun. And were you switching up the food trucks?
Yes, there'll be different food trucks each week. This week it's My Girls and the Damn Food Truck is what it's called.
Okay, all right. So, and then the music as well. Is that a different band for each month?
Different musicians each month, yes.
Okay, that sounds good. I like the idea of just sort of gathering everyone together for some good food and some music. And hey, was that tractor-drawn
hay ride?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, around the grounds. We have beautiful grounds there and a nice trail to ride around.
That'd be fun. That's fun. Okay, so now you have another event that I think is new as well, which is the Family Fun 5K Run or Walk. Is that right? And,
yes.
And is that going around your property as well?
Yes, we have a 5K cross-country trail that the schools use for training, and it's just such a nice setting. We thought we would open it up to the public to just come out in a day and walk or run it for exercise and fun.
Okay, and is there any sort of, do people have to register or pay anything, or they just sort of turn up?
No, it just turn up. There's no registration. It's just a day of fun. If you're a runner, it's a great trail to go on, and if you're just a walker, it's just a nice walk through the woods and the meadows.
Okay, so you've actually got one on today, and then you're going to have another one in August.
In August, correct.
Okay, and I see the times are like 8 o'clock in the morning to midday.
Yep, you can come and go as you would like anytime throughout those times.
So it's nice and cool because nobody wants to be running right in the heat.
About half of the trail is nice and shady through the woods.
That is very nice. Now, so that's great. So people could just listen to this, think, oh, we missed it today. We can definitely sign up. Well, we could just go and turn up for August, which is okay. Now, you mentioned earlier your big event, of course, is always Mountain Craft Days.
That's right. It's a big event for us.
Yes, it is, and it's one of my all-time favorite festivals of the Laurel Highlands. I think it's fantastic. And listeners, if you haven't made it up there, do try and make it up this year. What year is this? How many years have you been doing this?
We're celebrating our 50th festival this year.
No way. Your 50th?
Our 50th.
Good Lord. Have you done all of those?
I've been there for every one of them, believe it or not. Yes.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Well, I'm sure you've seen lots of changes.
Yes. Over the years, we were one of the first festivals to go into the woods and walk along the shady paths and meet the artists and sort of spread out the festival a little bit along the wooded setting. It just makes for a nice natural setting for a festival.
It does. I love the fact that it's all very shady in place. It's all spread out. You're walking through the trees. So for the listeners that have not been there, can you sort of describe the festival? You know, the vendors. Do you have strict guidelines? Because I know they're all reenactors and they're all basically demonstrating traditional crafts.
Yes, the craftsmen are very carefully selected and juried.
Okay.
And they must demonstrate their craft. They can't just sit and sell. They have to share their experiences and their stories and their craft skills with the visitors when they come. And of course, there's some great shopping there for the Christmas or holiday season or birthdays. The artisans have a wide selection of items in which to purchase as well.
Yeah. How many vendors do you have?
We have about 100 vendors, and plus entertainment, first-person interpreters, and some entertainment and great food.
It is great food. It's all typical mountain food, isn't it? It's really wholesome. What did I have? Scrapple one year. Is that right?
Scrapple could have been fried mush. We have fried mush. Scrapple's an old-time favorite. We have corn in the cob. We have pot pie is a very popular one. Chicken and ham pot pie. So we try to choose foods that are indicative of this area to share with visitors.
It's the scrapple was interesting, I have to say. That was a new one on me.
Yeah, it goes good with the buckwheat cakes and sausage.
Yes,
so.
But the pot pies are good. It's good food, and I love the fact. I just love all the crafts being demonstrated, and people are really engaged. Telling you all about. How they do it, where it came from, and there's such a great selection of things to purchase too. I just love Tim Manroy. I love all his tinsmithing, all his stuff he has, and the blacksmiths. Matt Stein, all his wonderful furniture. I could just go on and on. All the wonderful vendors you have up there.
And we have an apprenticeship program where we actually. We have an auction, and the proceeds are used to put into a fund to perpetuate traditional crafts. So we're always keeping the old crafts going and bringing in new artisans.
Okay, and the music you said, some of that is very 18th century, isn't it? And early 1800s too, right?
It's a mix. We have all kinds. We have Celtic music. We have folk music. We have a little bit of bluegrass and dulcimer groups.
Yes.
With dulcimer players in the country they're playing. And you just happen upon them in the woods. There's no PA amplification. It's just you happen upon them, and you can have a seat and listen to the music just as it would have been played 100 years ago.
Okay, so everyone's listening think, oh, this sounds great. So tell the listeners, what's the dates of the festival?
The dates are 6, 7, and 8 this year, September, always the weekend after Labor Day.
Right. And what's your opening hours?
We're open 10 to 5 all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So if they want to find out more information, can they hit the website, Facebook page?
SomersetHistoricalCenter.org or our Facebook page at the Somerset Historical Center.
So as well as visiting the festival, they can also go into the center and see your exhibit as well?
Correct. You come into the visitor center, tour the exhibits in there, watch our orientation video, which is about 12 minutes, relax, and then go back out into the fields and forest.
And eat that really good mountain food, enjoy the music, do some shopping, and chat to all the reenactors. It's a great event. I totally recommend it. We are running out of time. It's gone quick. Any other thing you'd like to mention? Any other events coming up this summer?
No, I think that's about it for now. But we're gearing up for our Mountain Craft Day, as that's our big festival.
It is, and then after that, I believe you have sort of Halloween themed stuff.
We have
October,
a Halloween. You can trick or treat through the historical settings and historical buildings in a safe atmosphere, and we also offer an escape room that can be booked anytime. We have an escape room called Two Scapes Escape. It's based around Harmon Husband, who came to this area as a fugitive from North Carolina, and it's based around his life in Somerset County. So if you're into escape rooms, we have a very great escape room that we can offer.
I had no idea. And at any time you could book that.
Anytime, call and book, and we can schedule you. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure, as always, to have you on the show. I wish you a great summer and a terrific 50th Mountain Craft Days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just tuned in, you are listening to Laurel Highlands Happenings, brought to you this month by Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine at Seton Hill and Mountain Pines Campground, creating family fun and fond memories. Our final guest today is Brian Reedy. He is the Chief of Interpretation and Site Manager for Fort Necessity National Battlefield and Friendship Hill National Historic Site. Good morning, Brian. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show.
Well, good morning. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So I invited you on today because we're doing a whole history focus. I wanted to highlight a different historic site for each county. And I really wanted to talk about Fort Necessity, and I thought you're the chap to speak to about it. Tell the listeners, for those who have not made a trip out to Fort Necessity yet, why is it called Fort Necessity?
Well, it was the simple answer was built out of necessity. There's no mystery or surprise there. It was never really intended to be a site of a battle or a long-term fortification. Washington, who was the commander of the Virginians, was just simply trying to build a military supply road, and things just spun out of control, and he ended up back at the site of Great Meadows and would build a fort of necessity.
Okay, so you just said a key name there, because my next question was, for those that don't know the story of Fort Necessity, tell us about the key players involved. And I know that there was a very young Colonel Washington that was involved. So can you just give us a background of what actually happened, and especially involving Colonel Washington?
Sure. The Ohio River Valley was strategically important to several groups. The Native Americans, obviously, because they had been living there for thousands of years. The French, who through exploration needed that as kind of a connector between their colony of Canada, what they called New France, and places they had out in Indiana and Illinois down all the way to Louisiana. And then you had the 13 British colonies that were kind of hemmed in along the East Coast, and they were very successful in getting folks to colonize. Their population was roughly 1.5 million by the 1750s, and it was doubling every 25 years. So there was a constant need for land. So they were trying to find a way to get over those mountains. There were no navigable rivers. And Virginia, their charter was probably the most interesting, and it was a sea-to-sea charter, basically from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific, stretched all the way up to the Arctic Circle, pretty much encompassed over half of the North American continent. And this land was up for the taking, and there was something called the Ohio Company. It was a chartered land company. There were several investors, of which George Washington was one. And to ensure that that land would remain in possession of Britain and Virginia, they decided to do military operations. And they needed someone who was eager and ambitious and expendable. I know it's hard to think of young George Washington as that, as the father of America, but he's just 22 years old at the time, and he is able to put together a contingent of 150 men, volunteers of the Virginia Regiment, and their goal, as I mentioned, was to begin building that military road, kind of patching together some trading roads that had existed and work their way west, and hopefully resupply a British fort that was being constructed where present-day Pittsburgh is, as it was referred to as the Fort Prince George or Trent's Fort. That fort didn't last very long. It was actually removed by the French in April of 1754. Washington, who gets word of that, would continue pushing forward, though, building that road, hopefully for reinforcements to eventually attack the French where Pittsburgh is. And he would settle at a place called the Great Meadows. That's a natural clearing. It's been there for thousands of years, actually a lake 10,000 years ago. And it offered a good place for Washington to camp, had grazing pasture basically for his horse and cattle. And that's kind of where he settles in and arrives by the end of May 1754, and it sets the stage for future events and eventually the battle.
Right, and it really does set the stage, because important things actually happen that has impact globally, because things didn't go quite according to plan. Tell us the next episode of what happened with Washington and the certain Glen.
Yes, Washington, again, his orders are to make sure that the American Indians that are in the area remain friendly to the British cause. And a notable figure is a gentleman by the name of Harrison or Tenackerson. I've heard it pronounced so many ways. I'll stick with the easier version. He's also called the Half King. And he understands that Washington's kind of young and gullible and naive, and is going to use Washington to manipulate him he wants. The Native Americans are fairly savvy in the fact that they understand that they get the best goods and trade goods when they can have the two European powers vying for their attention.
Right.
So, and he's not a big fan of the French. And he tells Washington a tale of woe that the French don't like him and they're going to come and assassinate him and his family. And if that does occur, are you going to be my friend and help me out? So what it's setting us up for is an event that occurred on May 28, 1754. It's the Jumonville Affair. The French, who, again, had settled where Pittsburgh is, had built Fort Duquesne, sent out a 35-man patrol led by Ensign Joseph Conon de Villiers-Jumonville, or Jumonville, as it's locally known. And his job is to basically pacify those individuals who are trespassing on French lands. If he encounters a force larger than his, then he's going to be the ambassador and politely deliver a summons to say, you need to leave the area. And Jumonville, by the 27th of May, had settled at a site about 7 miles from Fort Necessity atop Chestnut Ridge, very close to where the Methodist summer camp is today and the large white cross. The Half King finds out where he's at, says, hey, Washington, here are these French I told you about. They're coming to get me. I'm going to go after them. You're going to help me. And Washington would do just that. On the morning of May 28th, they surround the French, and they basically ambush them in their camp just as the French are rising. And who fired the first shot?
We don't know.
That's the big mystery.
Yeah.
But Washington's victorious, and it sets off a chain of events where there would be reprisal against Washington by July.
Right, and this is what happened at Fort Necessity, wasn't it? They were attacked, the British.
Yes, yeah. Washington, he does advance out of Fort Necessity. He would build a very crude supply base there, but when word comes that the French are coming after him, he begins retreating from his advanced post. He had actually been over Chestnut Ridge, but would arrive back at the Great Meadows on July 1st, where he would really build the breastworks, or today you see them as the low earthy mounds we call earthworks, and he prepares for the attack. And the French attack him with a force, I've heard accounts of 400 to 500 to maybe 700 to 900 French and Indians. That's still debatable.
Right.
But they're led by Captain Louis Coulon de Villiers, who is the older brother of Jumonville.
Right.
So he's representing his king and his interest in the Ohio River Valley, but also to avenge his brother's death.
And from what I understand, the weather was not good that day, and so guns were not firing because of its damp weather. Black powder is not going to go off, and they suffered quite a few casualties and injured soldiers.
Yeah, it's Washington, again, he's stuck into his fort. It's kind of a target-rich environment. The battle's July 3rd, and the French appear at midday and are able to quickly surround Washington and from the cover of forest, pepper the fort. The weather, as you mentioned, is horrendous. Occasional downpours, misty, foggy. So both sides had trouble maintaining an ability to fire. Francis Parkman, the historian of the 19th century, in his book, Montcalm Wolfe, said they probably just kind of stared at each other through much of the battle. But by 8 o'clock, the French are able to gain a slight advantage and offer Washington the opportunity to surrender. And that capitulation would be agreed upon at about midnight. And July 4th, a day we celebrate, not a good day for George the first time, though.
Right.
He would surrender his fort and retire from the area, and the French would destroy the fort.
Wow. It's a fascinating history. We are running out of time, Brian. It's gone so quick. It's fascinating. For those that are listening who want to learn more, just recap where you're located and how they can find out more information online.
Fort Necessity is located 11 miles east of Uniontown, Pennsylvania, right on U.S. Route 40, the old National Road. You can reach us on our website. That's mps.gov/FONE, and that's short for Fort Necessity.
Okay.
So, great site to visit. We're open daily, 9 to 5.
It absolutely is wonderful. You've got a lovely exhibit in there. You've got the reconstructed fort, so you can have a good walk around and just understand and feel what it was actually like for Washington and soldiers just dealing with that attack. Brian, it's been lovely. It's gone way too quick. I love all this is history. Thank you very much for coming on our show.
You're most welcome.
At LHTC Broadband, we're proud to provide the communication services you need to get the most from today's technology. We're your local choice for TV, phone, and internet. We offer high-quality cable TV service with HD, multi-room DVR, on-demand, and watch TV everywhere. Plus unlimited calling, and our internet is faster than ever with speeds up to 1 gigabyte. With no contracts and local customer service, switching has never been easier. Call today, 724-593-2411, or visit lhtcbroadband.com.